Ever sign up for one of those online courses thinking, okay, this will be easy. I'm basically online all the time anyway.
Yeah,
That was me. Totally misjudged it.
right.
Turns out doing well with online learning, it's not just like having good Wi-Fi.
It's easy to forget online learning, especially the kind mixed with in-person stuff. It still needs that human part to really work.
Yeah, totally. And that's what we're looking at today in this deep dive. We're going beyond just the tech stuff, beyond just like someone trying hard on their own to look at this framework. It's a whole new way of thinking about students succeeding in online and blended learning.
We're diving into a research article from 2023 by Borup, Graham, West, Archambault, and Spring. They've got this idea, they call it academic communities of engagement,
Catchy.
or ACE for short.
Okay, love a good acronym. Break it down. What's the main idea with ACE?
So ACE, it really stresses how important a student's support system is for them to do well, especially in online or blended learning. Like, learning doesn't just happen on its own, especially not in those online courses. People can feel kind of isolated.
That isolation thing, I hadn't thought about that before. This research makes a lot of sense, though.
Totally. And ACE, it breaks down student engagement into three parts: affective, behavioral, and cognitive. Each one matters, and they all kind of play off each other.
So it's not just showing up or getting the material, it's also how students feel about it all, how they act, and how they like really engage with the info on a deeper level, right?
Exactly. Think of it this way. The affective part, that's all about how a student feels emotionally about learning. Are they into it? Stressed? Is it too much? Those feelings, they directly affect how much effort they'll put in.
Which leads into the behavioral side of things.
Right. This is about what students actually do. Showing up to the online sessions, getting things done on time, managing their time well, and in online blended setups, that self-discipline, being organized, it's super important.
It takes a lot to stay on track when you're not physically going to class, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, there's the cognitive dimension.
This goes beyond just soaking up info. It's about learning actively, asking why, making connections between ideas, and really thinking critically about the material.
And that's tough, even in a regular classroom. But here's where ACE gets really interesting. It says there are two communities that are crucial, really vital for supporting these three engagement things. And honestly, one of them we often forget about. So we've got these three parts to engagement, but then ACE adds on this whole other thing about two communities being super important for students to actually succeed, like a support triangle or something.
Exactly. You've got the student right in the middle, and then on one side, there's the whole course, community teachers, facilitators, the other students, even just the online platform they're using.
And on the other side, which like you said, we don't always think about, is their personal community.
Right. Family, friends, mentors, anyone who knows and supports them, but outside of the course itself.
Okay, so how do these communities actually support each part of engagement? Like, what does that look like day to day?
Let's start with the course community. For that cognitive engagement, you need really good instruction. Teachers who can explain complicated stuff so online learners get it, and who can plan activities that make you really think, not just memorize.
And that's where I'm guessing collaborative learning comes in.
Exactly. Think about those online discussion forums where students are encouraged to debate their ideas, or they critique each other's work, or even do a whole project together online.
Makes sense. So for the behavioral side, like, what can the course community do to help with things like managing time or staying on top of assignments?
That's where being really clear and having structured support is super important. Think regular check-ins from the teachers, deadlines that are obvious, knowing what's expected on assignments, even having tech support there if the platform is acting up.
It's way too easy to fall behind when you don't have someone reminding you in person or you're not seeing them face to face.
For sure. And then we've got the effective engagement, that feeling of belonging, of being connected. The course community can do things to help with this, like online study groups or having online office hours so students can actually talk to the instructors one-on-one, even just doing icebreaker activities online to help classmates get to know each other.
Sounds like it takes effort to make that community online, but it's so key to making learning actually good. What about the personal community, though? How do they support students, especially when so much is online or blended?
The personal community, they're huge for giving that emotional support, that encouragement, which can be make or break, especially when a student's really struggling or feels alone.
Which, let's be real, happens a lot in online learning, especially if you're juggling other stuff in life too.
Oh, absolutely. So think about a student who just can't wrap their head around a new concept, their personal community. They can be there to encourage them, help them find extra resources, or even just listen and be like, hey, you're not the only one who's ever struggled with this.
It's like having your own personal cheer squad, even when you're stuck learning from home.
Exactly. And the personal community can even help with the behavioral stuff. Imagine a student easily distracted at home, their family or roommates. They can help set up a spot just for studying, cut down on distractions, even help that student stick to a schedule.
Wow, it's amazing how much of a difference that support can make. This Pathway Connect program at BYU, which the research paper talks about, can you tell us more about why this one stood out to you when thinking about ACE?
This Pathway Connect thing, it really seems like they get ACE, they're making it real. Especially for students who aren't the typical, like, straight out of high school, living on campus. They might not have that same support.
Exactly. Pathway Connect, it's made for students who are coming back to school after a while. Maybe they've got jobs, families, all that. Lots of them haven't been a regular college student, so their support system, it's different.
So how does Pathway Connect deal with that? Do they, like, try to create a fake personal community? Oh, no, it's not about replacing it. It's more like realizing that the personal community might need some extra help. So Pathway Connect, they mix online classes with these weekly meetups in person with facilitators. But these meetups are not just going over the material again. It's about building those connections, that face-to-face time, which is so important for staying motivated, feeling like you're part of something.
So it's almost like they're blending the course community with the personal community, adding in that extra support that might be missing.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the facilitators, they're trained to help with the school stuff and the personal stuff. So they're there for the coursework, but also just to listen, give a pep talk, connect students to resources, even just help them deal with being a non-traditional student, which has its own challenges.
That's really something. It shows how, with online learning, blended learning, it's not just about how tough the student is or having the best tech. It's about these communities, online and off, and how important they are.
Couldn't agree more. And this research, especially that Pathway Connect example, it gives us a place to start, like a roadmap. How can we make online blended learning actually work for students by building in these support systems from the get-go?
Makes you think, why isn't everyone talking about this? Imagine if every online course, every program out there, if they cared about building these support systems as much as they care about the technology or what's being taught.
Powerful thought, right? It's a challenge, though, for all of us. Teachers making the courses, people running things, even just our friends and family who know a student. We can all do something to make these communities stronger.
So anyone listening may be feeling overwhelmed by this whole online learning thing, whether it's you or someone you know. What's the one thing you want them to take away today?
You are not alone. Online learning, blended learning, it doesn't have to be a solo mission. Rely on those people who support you, build those connections up, and remember, doing well in this, it's a team effort.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the ACE framework. We hope this episode gave you some things to think about, especially the power of community, even in online learning. Until next time, keep those connections strong and keep on learning.